For over a century, the Mauryan Empire held the Indian subcontinent under a single, massive authority. But around 185 BCE, that central power collapsed, and the map fragmented into a patchwork of competing regional kingdoms. Usually in history, the fall of a centralized superpower signals the start of a dark age, a period where trade stops, whole cities crumble, and the arts go quiet. But look at the evidence. This ivory sculpture, with its intricate jewelry, was crafted during an era we expect to be a decline. Between the 2nd century BCE and the 3rd century CE, regional wealth and culture didn't disappear, they exploded. If there was no single emperor to fund these artists or protect the roads, how did this fractured landscape become so vibrant? To find out, we have to look past the missing imperial records and investigate the physical remnants these regional kingdoms left behind. Take this Sātavāhana silver coin. It depicts not a fortress, but a seafaring ship with 2 distinct masts. This imagery reveals these powers looked outward, their economy based on mastering the maritime technology needed to cross the open sea. In the south, the Cheras, Cholas, and Pandyas used their coastal positions to build a global hub. They weren't just regional neighbors, they were the primary connection point between India and the Roman Empire. Ships left these coasts laden with high-value luxuries, ivory, pearls, timber, and the spices that the Roman world craved. This wasn't just survival, it was a boom. By operating as independent coastal states, these kingdoms could specialize in global trade much more efficiently than a massive, centralized bureaucracy ever could. Moving inland to the Deccan Plateau, we find massive complexes like the Udayagiri and Karla caves carved directly into the rocky hillsides. The inscriptions found here reveal the names of those who funded them, including a Sātavāhana queen and the powerful King Kharavela. These records show a curious strategy. The rulers performed traditional Vedic rituals to declare their status as kings, yet they simultaneously donated massive fortunes to support Jain and Buddhist monks. In his inscriptions, King Kharavela openly takes pride in being a respecter of every sect and a repairer of every temple, making no distinction between faiths. This required a highly versatile class of artisans. One sculpture from the era even carries an inscription noting it was carved not by a specialized mason, but by a goldsmith, showing how different crafts were overlapping to meet the massive demand for these monuments. These regional kings had discovered that protecting every school of thought, rather than enforcing one, was the most effective tool for maintaining social stability and driving growth. Beyond the Sisagwa objects, the culture of the era is preserved in the Silappatikaram, a massive Tamil epic poem that traveled across the subcontinent. It tells the tragic story of Kannagi, a woman who loses her husband to a king's wrongful execution. But the story doesn't end in grief. Kannagi successfully challenges the king, proving her husband's innocence through the physical evidence of her anklet. The poem isn't just a story, it's a philosophical exploration of dharma. It establishes that a ruler's legitimacy is tied directly to their duty to uphold justice, regardless of their political power. The fact that this epic became a shared cultural touchstone across many competing kingdoms proved that a common moral framework united the people, even while the subcontinent was politically divided. The maritime coins, the pluralistic cave inscriptions, and the poetry of justice all point to the same conclusion. This era, known as the Age of Reorganization, proves that political decentralization is not the same thing as civilizational decline. By breaking apart, the subcontinent allowed unique regional identities to flourish, while keeping them all tied together by trade and a mutual respect for diverse philosophies. This approach, extending protection to all schools of thought and finding unity in diversity, is the foundation of what we call the Indian ethos. It shows that a society can be great not through a single towering empire, but through the strength of its interconnected parts.